Hello, hello, hello. Welcome to another episode of the GSMC Wrestling Laureate Podcast. I'm your host, Eric Rodriguez. Every Monday through Friday, 8 p.m. Pacific Time, 11 p.m. Eastern Time, here to talk all things professional wrestling, from TNA to Ring of Honor to New Japan Professional Wrestling, AEW, also, of course, the WWE. I'm here. I'm your man every weeknight, so make sure you catch the GSMC Wrestling Laureate Podcast. Just if you want to talk about wrestling, want to watch a show that's dedicated for wrestling, all the action inside and outside of the ring, all the stuff happening behind the curtains, and all the stuff, with superstars and stuff like that. I'm your guy. Hope you guys having a great week. It's Thursday. We're almost there. We are almost there. It's been a long week for me. I know, personally, I've been like trying to, kind of battling allergies a little bit, coughing a little bit, scratchy throat, sneezing and stuff like that. It's the changing of the seasons are never really that great to kind of, to deal with because my body's just, it's weird like that, especially where I live in Southern California. I live in, you know, around Riverside, California. So right now, even outside, I do my podcast. It's like an office. It's like an outside room. So it gets to be like 97 degrees and stuff like that. That's why sometimes if you watch the podcast, if you see me in my shirt and like if there's sweat stains and stuff like that, just kind of bear with me, bear with me. Anyways, thank you so much for tuning in to the GSMC Wrestling Laureate Podcast, brought to you by the GSMC Sports Network. We have a lot of great things for you today on tap. Today we have our AEW Dynamite 250 review. We have our Thursday Night Wrestling preview. We jump into the ring of TNA, also the world of Ring of Honor. And then we also talk about The Rock, the final boss. Was he really a good heel or not? There's, I think it's Dan Mantrell or something like that. I think it's his name. He's basically like, he's been within the Dutch Mantrell. He has a podcast called Story Time with Dutch Mantrell, where he was talking about, The Rock during his run as the final boss and how exactly he wasn't really a heel. Then we're gonna go over his top 10 heels in wrestling history. So that should be fun. Our fourth segment, we're gonna talk about Slammiversary, TNA Slammiversary happening on Saturday. Make sure you watch that. And on our fifth and final segment, we have our Thursday Superstar Spotlight of the week. We have Big E from the New Day. We're gonna jump into it. Super awesome, can't wait. But before we do any of that, I want to remind you guys to use the tips and donations link at the gsmcpodcast.net. Just put your questions up on top so you could so I can see it. Tell me what you like, tell me what you don't like, tell me what you want to further see in terms of professional wrestling. Give me projected storylines, give me who you think should be champion or something like that. This podcast ultimately is designed for wrestling fans, kind of like have a hub to kind of talk, just freely, absolutely freely, no judgmental tones here. We're like the Planet Fitness of wrestling podcasts. And, send a chat. We'll talk about it. I'll address the audience. And yeah, it'll be really, really fun. So, here at the GSMC Sports Network, we do love a lot of peace, love, and positivity, 1,010%. Remember to subscribe to the show, the GSMC Wrestling Laureate Podcast, also the network, the GSMC Sports Network. Once again, the link is at the gsmcpodcast.net. All right, so let's go ahead and dig on into AEW Dynamite 250. We're going to start. We have a match, AEW International Championship between MJF and Will Ospreay, live in Little Rock, Arkansas. I got to be honest, I really honestly didn't like the way this one turned out. And I'm, obviously for a couple of reasons. For the first reason, I don't know, I just feel like Will Ospreay recently has been kind of getting the short end of the stick. Obviously, he lost to Swerve Strickland because of Don Callis, and they're kind of hinting at like a feud with the Don Callis family. Obviously, like I was talking about with Kyle Fletcher losing his Ring of Honor World Television Championship means that he's going to go to AEW full time. Maybe perhaps it's kind of like a Mariah May, kind of Tony Storm kind of feel in terms of Kyle Fletcher and the aerial assassin Will Ospreay. So that'd be kind of interesting to kind of see what sprouts out. Maybe something very violent, like where you saw Mariah May. Tony Storm as soon as May won the Owen Hart Cup finals. for the women's side. So, I'm expecting maybe something a little like that. That's the only way I could see this kind of making sense. Will Ospreay, as soon as he signed with AEW, he achieved immediate success. He had he got the international championship. He beat Roderick Strong. I believe he beat Roderick Strong at Double or Nothing. Don't quote me on that. I don't, Dynasty. No, I could be wrong, but it was a good match. All in all, I feel like it was overall a good match. And second of all, I don't know why they're putting the AEW International Championship on MJF. I feel like if you're gonna have him come back as the heel, as the face of AEW, you kind of want him to have him like I think Swerve has a little bit of a longer championship. No, I think they won the belt at the same time, to be honest, him and Will Ospreay. So it would have been interesting to see MJF beat Swerve Strickland for the AEW World Heavyweight Championship, but instead he has the International Championship, which is still pretty marketable, which is still AEW could still have a lot of matches, a lot of storylines, a lot of promos that maybe involve Daniel Garcia in the future. Maybe perhaps Will Ospreay takes a stab at it. Roderick Strong, Kyle O'Reilly, whoever wants to go for the belt. MJF, he's a natural born heel. The crowd hates him, but at the same time, they love him. The moment he came back, they absolutely they prayed for it. They prayed, they cried. They were like, give me more Maxwell Jacob Freeman. And that's what we got from AEW, which was awesome. I honestly think the best way for MJF to further his heel, also his personality and his full character development and potential is you need to have a title belt on. That's kind of like a no-brainer. People pay attention to title matches as opposed to regular matches. That's, kind of like a no-duh. So you see Maxwell Jacob Freeman defeat the aerial assassin Will Ospreay on AEW Dynamite 250. The fans were into it. It was pretty awesome. It was a great match. It was very full of action, full of personal issues. It was the first time these two superstars have ever met within the squared circle. So definitely something really cool. Definitely knew that something big was going to happen from this. I honestly thought, I was talking about this, I think yesterday, that, I thought it was going to be a no contest. And I thought it was going to be a no contest because, like I was mentioning before, you have Don Callis lurking in the winds. Will Ospreay essentially disowned and, you know, kind of disgraced, shed shade to the Don Callis family. Trent Beretta was super pissed off. Also, Kyle Fletcher had a little bit of a, like a chip on his shoulder when he was there talking to Don Callis when Will Ospreay ultimately left the group. So I thought that was going to be an X factor, an outside X factor. And also for MJF, I thought Daniel Garcia, he was put on the shelf from MJF about 2 weeks ago on Dynamite. Him coming back, saving Will Ospreay, helping him retain the AEW International Championship would have made sense. But AEW did not go that way. They gave the belt to Maxwell Jacob Freeman. Not hating on it because essentially you do have the AEW World Heavyweight Champion Swerve Strickland, who's totally over right now, totally over. And then you also have the Continental Champion Kazuchika Okada. But it feels like every storyline, every champion that's kind of linked to Matthew and Nicholas Jackson's faction, the Elite. I think fans are getting over it. I think fans are getting over it a lot. I know they saw a ratings increase on Dynamite this week, about 750,000 plus fans, which was great because last week they got about 500,000. So, you know, positive side, love Tony Khan, love his promotion. Hope that they keep, killing promos and killing, weekly shows like this. It just makes wrestling a hell of a lot better. So, definitely thought that was pretty cool. The match took about 59 minutes and 58 seconds. So crazy. The timekeeper almost had to blow the whistle, almost had to ring the bell based on the time limit. I also thought that was a factor as well. When the match was going on, I was like, dude, to be honest, I don't really think AEW really wants any of these guys to kind of lose right now. Will Ospreay once again being conflicted. The reason why he lost the match was because he was going to hit that Tiger Driver in 91. Didn't really happen. He second thought himself. He put MJF down. He had him set up. And then, that's the same reason why he lost to Swerve Strickland at Forbidden Doors. So, just a lot of animosity, just a lot of conflicted views within the aerial assassin Will Ospreay. So it should be interesting to kind of find out where Will kind of goes from this. Will, now he doesn't have a title. Now he's kind of has to go back down to the totem pole, because I doubt they would give him his rematch clause. I would doubt they would want Will Ospreay to defeat MJF, and I would doubt they would want MJF, such a good heel, such a great heel, to just go, to win a title just to lose it, just really honestly does not make any sense. So, should be interesting to find out furthermore. Next, we have TV time with the Learning Tree, Chris Jericho. And Chris Jericho he said he's going to be on every Dynamite until Dynamite 500. He, he was mentioning people who don't listen. People who don't listen, you have, Shibata, you have Samoa Joe. I thought he was gonna mention Hook. I honestly thought he was gonna mention the cold-hearted, handsome devil Hook, but he never really came around. Then he was ultimately interrupted by who was this? By Minoru Suzuki. Minoru Suzuki, of course, was the man that Chris Jericho wanted on the Learning Tree as soon as the Bad Apple got injured, but obviously that didn't happen. Instead of accepting the invitation, he ultimately wanted to challenge Chris Jericho himself to, kind of, put him on the shelf. Be like, hey, I want to fight you for the FTW championship. So we're gonna have it next week. We're gonna have it next week. On Dynamite. I think it's Blood and Guts, but don't quote me on that. So it should be interesting to find out what happens furthermore with that. Next we have Kazuchika Okada, totally hot for Mercedes Moné. Mercedes Moné was backstage talking to Matthew and Nicholas Jackson of the Elite. You saw the AEW Continental Champion just eyeing her down, and Matthew and Nicholas Jackson told Mercedes Moné, they're like, "Hey, can you do my man over here, Kazuchika Okada, like a favor? Can you do your dance?" And like she was doing her dance and stuff, like she was like, so hot. Like, you know what I mean? Like, it was a little uncomfortable, to be honest. No. It was, it was AEW. It was AEW. It was kind of cool. It was pretty badass. I liked how Kazuchika Okada was, admiring, kind of getting a little crazy. Obviously that's, the pluses of having like a PG-13 kind of feel there. But also you kind of get that Mercedes Moné's full heel. She's full of the Elite. She might as well be partners with Matthew, Nicholas Jackson, Jack Perry, Hangman Adam Page, and the AEW Continental Champion Kazuchika Okada. So, definitely a lot of, it was a pretty good promo. I liked it. I liked it a lot. Then you have Mercedes Moné defending her AEW championship, AEW TBS championship against Nyla Rose. Overall, it was a good match. Nyla Rose, that powerhouse, kind of like that gentle giant, ultimately did lose to Mercedes Moné, but she put up one hell of a fight. Then you have Mariah May coming out, totally fooling everybody. She looked exactly like Toni Storm. I thought it was Toni Storm for the longest time. I thought it was the timeless Toni Storm. And then she started talking. I was like, oh, like this is getting personal right now. This is getting pretty personal. So you're going to have Mariah May having to confront timeless Toni Storm pretty soon in the near future before AEW All In at Wembley Stadium. So, she won the World Cup, the Owen Hart World Cup. She has a title shot. She is the number one contender for the timeless Toni Storm's AEW Women's World Championship. Should be interesting. She said in her promo that she was stringing Toni Storm along this whole entire time. She's always wanted to kill Toni Storm. But she said after all that, after all the animosity, after the attack with the high heel shoe, busting her open from ear to ear, she said, I still love you, Toni Storm. I still love you. Kind of crazy. Then you saw a promo backstage. You saw the Bang Bang Gang, thanks to Jay Switchblade White getting injured. You saw them have to relinquish the 6-man championship for Ring of Honor, also the trios championship from AEW. So now you're going to have those two belts on both rosters open, ready to earn. I think that makes for very, very good TV. You have it wide open. I love the trios championship. I love the concept of a 3-on-3. Because even though you have it, always had it within WWE, but they never really did anything about it. Like, you had the Judgment Day. You also had the New Day, who always had you had the Bloodline, who had more than like 2 members. Okay, but now we got to pick 2 members to represent our brand, represent this faction to be tag team champions. So having a trios championship, I felt would ultimately benefited WWE. So you're on a main event. We have Swerve Strickland, the AEW World Heavyweight Champion, champion versus champion, going against the AEW Continental Champion, Kazuchika Okada. It was a good match. Swerve was about to kill it. He was about to hit that Swerve stomp. And then you saw Matthew and Nicholas Jackson come out first. Then you saw the Acclaimed. Then you saw Mark Briscoe. Then you saw Jack Perry. And then out of nowhere, you saw Hangman Adam Page. Hangman Adam Page confirming that he's going to be at Blood and Guts. He's going to be the partner of the Elite. Kind of crazy, kind of cool. Then out of nowhere, with Team AEW, outmatched from the Raptors, from the ceilings, from the heavens above, they must have prayed for some help because down came Darby Allin, recently medically cleared, said in an interview he's so excited to do some more crazy on AEW. Honestly, unpredictability is the name of the game in terms of professional wrestling. Overall, AEW Dynamite 250 deserved 700,500 viewers average. So, definitely thought that was pretty cool. Definitely love that. Well, guys, do not go anywhere. We're going to jump on into our Thursday night wrestling preview. We jump into the world of Ring of Honor, also the Ring of TNA Impact. We're going to talk about that. So, hey, do not go anywhere.
I feel like I'm losing my mind. Is everybody in the world blind? Please, Lord, give me a sign, a sign. I feel like I'm losing my mind. Is everybody in the world blind? Please, Lord, give me a sign, a sign.
I wanna be the greatest. Everybody on the fake shit. I look around and feel like everybody is the fakest. I make this every day and I'm impatient, hoping one day I blow up from the basement. Statement, the top is so vacant. I don't hear shit that I think is amazing. Waiting for my day when I'm playing sold out shows for 1,000 faces. Hey, give me that crown, get in my way and to be put down. It ain't your place, all this my town. If I want that shit, then I'll get it right now. I'm losing it, the noose it fits. I'm losing shit, a stupid myth. You choose to live or choose to dip. You choose to fight or lose your grip and lose a gift.
I feel like I'm losing my mind. Is everybody in the world blind? Please, Lord, give me a sign, a sign. I feel like I'm losing my mind. Is everybody in the world blind?
And we are back with the GSMC Wrestling Laureate Podcast, brought to you by the GSMC Sports Network. Just to kind of reflect on what we talked about real quick, we had our AEW Dynamite 250 live from Little Rock, Arkansas. You saw the aerial assassin Will Ospreay lose against MJF in a bout that took about almost an hour. It was about 59 minutes and 58 seconds. Kind of crazy. Obviously that's professional wrestling. The fans were into it. So super awesome. Make sure you catch the show. I'm your host, Eric Rodriguez, every Monday through Friday, 8 p.m. Pacific time, 11 p.m. Eastern time, talking all things professional wrestling, 1,010%, all the action inside and outside of the ring, all the behind curtain stuff, all the news about the superstars, all the athletes, all the projected storylines that are kind of left in the air within the creative WWE, AEW, and stuff like that. So this show, if you're a huge wrestling head like I am, it's a perfect place to go. Obviously, spend some time with me, grab your favorite drink, grab your favorite snack, and talk about professional wrestling with me. But before we move on any further, I want to remind you guys to use the tips and donations link at the GSMCpodcast.net. Shoot me your comments, questions, and concerns. Tell me what you like, tell me what you don't like, your projected storylines, who you think should be champion, who you overall, want to see, on top of the AEW world. Maybe, you have some thoughts about what happened at Money in the Bank. 1,010%. Send chats about absolutely anything. Doesn't really have to be that relative to the show, although it would help. You know what I mean? Here at the GSMC Sports Network, we do love a lot of peace, love, and positivity, 1,010%. So remember to Superman punch that like and subscribe button to the show. Also leave a positive review. The link is at the GSMCpodcast.net. So let's go ahead and jump on into our second segment. We have our Thursday night wrestling preview. So Death Before Dishonor 2024 is just 8 days away. And, we're pretty excited. Honestly, I'm pretty excited. I can't wait to see what happens. But before that, we have our, we have our Honor Club. We have a Ring of Honor Honor Club 73. So we're going to start off with the lights out match between the legit Layla Hirsch against Diamante. Layla Hirsch is strong. I feel like ultimately she's not really, she can't really, you can't really blindside her. Diamante has been within the company for so damn long. You kind of have that, that hot up and coming star with Hirsch taking on Diamante. Obviously, she's been part of like she was in the Women's World Television Championship, tournament that was ultimately won by Billy Starks. But she had a pretty good bout. She had a pretty good match and stuff like that. And it said lights out. It means no rules. Absolutely no rules. Doesn't count toward anybody's record. Has no bearing. The first, this is a first for Ring of Honor having a lights out stipulation that reflects the other lack of rules and any other matches that calls, such more like kind of like a last man standing match. The competitor who couldn't answer a 10 count looked to, looks to win. So, definitely match is pretty awesome. You know, it's unsanctioned. So this is absolutely, these girls probably hate the hell out of each other, kind of crazy, but should be interesting to find out who comes out on top. My bet would probably be on Diamante. So we have a trios match, like I mentioned before. The Bang Bang Gang had to relinquish their 6-man Ring of Honor championship and also their AEW Trios championship. So now you can expect the trios contention on Ring of Honor and New Japan Professional Wrestling, CMLL, also, AEW to start heating up. A lot of people want to become champions. The Bang Bang Gang has had those titles, in the winks, has held them over everybody's head for the longest time. So it's kind of cool to see. I like it whenever a title kind of gets vacated. I got to be honest, it just makes for an unpredictable champion. Just makes for a lot of fun finding out who gets to fight the final two for the championship. So that's one of the reasons why I like it. So tonight we have a trios match on Ring of Honor Club. We have Dalton Castle and the Outrunners, Truth Magnum, and also Turbo Floyd taking on Lance Archer and the Righteous, Dutch and Vincent. I honestly like Lance Archer. I really like the Righteous. I feel like they're kind of heading toward more of a success more than like a downgrade. It would be more fitting for Lance Archer to kind of continue his momentum he has. And of course you have you have the Righteous as well, who shouldn't be thrown aside, but should be interesting to kind of find out. Next, we have the MIT is going to speak. Obviously, the Ring of Honor World Women's Champion Athena, who has gone unbeaten. She's still on a really high record, stuff like that. And I don't think it's been such a long time. It's been so long since she's been beaten, dude. She's amazing. Like she had that tease where she was going to give up the Ring of Honor World Women's Championship because, saying that she wasn't medically clear. But then you also have Billy Starks. Billy Starks in 8 days. She will, contest her championship as well as Athena. So, a lot of crazy ass stuff, a lot of cool stuff heading toward the 8 days before Ring of Honor Death Before Dishonor, and just also featuring matches. We're going to see a Women's World Championship #1 contenders match. Queen Aminata in action. She's going to be fighting. She is the #1 contender. And we have the #1 contender for the Women's World TV title as well, Red Velvet in action as well. Both of those, obviously they're stable. We have Cage of Agony, Brian Cage, Bishop Khan, and Tayo Leona in trios competition. Just so much more. So make sure you, make sure you watch that stuff. Like, we also have, Ring of Honor, Death Before Dishonor. We have a lot of matches that are actually, kind of already lined up. One of them that's kind of my favorite is you have Roderick Strong, the former AEW International Champion. Obviously, throughout the years of Ring of Honor, you've seen, Roderick Strong be successful. You've seen him be successful. So he's going to go against Mark Briscoe. Mark Briscoe has had so far a really, really good run from the Ring of Honor World Heavyweight Championship standpoint, in my opinion. He's beaten a lot, he's beaten people that I thought, Kyle Fletcher was it. Kyle Fletcher has not lost a match. Well, before then, he didn't lose a match, before 2022, I believe it was May. And he had all the momentum in the world, couldn't take down the crazy, the always unpredictable, unhinged Mark Briscoe. So, I'm a huge Mark Briscoe fan. I love the Ring of Honor Heavyweight Championship. I love that they put your strap on him. But, I hope he doesn't lose it against Roderick Strong. I would be so upset, to be honest. I'd be like, really? I would have rather had Kyle Fletcher win the championship if you're going to have Mark Briscoe lose his championship against Roderick Strong. So, All right, now moving on to TNA. This is the last stop. from the road to Slammiversary. We have Matt and Jeff Hardy coming together for the first time in 7 years. Matt Hardy pinned Eddie Edwards during the tag team showdown where Matt teamed up with his wife to take on Alicia and Eddie Edwards. Eddie Edwards and Brian Myers, they're looking to take down a historic tag team who wants to, reclaim their spot of the tag team mountain, obviously the Hardy Boys, for the TNA World Tag Team Championships. But whoever wins the championship belts tonight has to face ABC lurking in the shadows. They are former tag team champions as well for TNA. So we also have a Slammiversary main event contract signing, between the, six-way match. You have Moose, you have Nick Nemeth, you have Joe Hendry, Steve Macklin, Frankie Kazarian, and Josh Alexander. Could be all shaping up. All shaping up for absolute bedlam. I feel like something's going to happen. Something's going to go crazy, insane in the membrane. Could be, obviously, Moose has had the championship for so damn long from the leader of the system. It's elimination. It's an elimination match. So definitely I feel like he's going to be, pretty dominant in this match, but, should be interesting to kind of find out what happens more. Next, we have the no quarter catch crew to take on Kushida and the Rascals. I was a little flabbergasted. I was a little shocked to find out that Wesley wasn't going to make his way over to TNA Impact for this Thursday's episode. I've heard, speculations that Kushida was probably going to get attacked by the no quarter catch crew, forcing the Rascals into a handicap 3-on-2 match, and then out of nowhere, making his TNA return, you have Wesley. I think, I thought that was the best way to kind of go about it. But, should be interesting to find out what happens furthermore. Next, we have JDC taking on Max Santana. JDC and Santana, hate each other's guts. JDC screwed Santana out of a spot for the main event against Moose's TNA World Heavyweight Championship. JDC wants to prove his worth, say that he can pull the weight, say that he could, join the system. Obviously, you have Eddie Edwards, Brian Myers, also Alicia Edwards, also Moose. JDC wants to be a part of the system, so it should be interesting to kind of find out what happens tonight, especially heading towards Slammiversary. To kind of cap it all off today, we have Alicia Edwards taking on Xia Brookside. Xia Brookside is out for revenge. She lost the spot thanks to Alicia Edwards, trying to challenge for the championship there. Edwards is trying to build momentum for her TNA Knockouts tag team title defense at Slammiversary against Spitfire. So a lot of crazy stuff, a lot of interesting, turnabouts, a lot of possible storylines that can come into Slammiversary tonight on TNA Impact on Access TV. So make sure you catch that. All right, guys, do not go anywhere. We're going to talk about The Rock's final boss character. Wasn't really a total heel. So, like I said, always come back. Hear more wrestling stuff. Grab your favorite snack. Grab your favorite, your beverage. And we're going to talk about more professional wrestling. Heels. Ooh, gotta love yourself some heels. We have The Rock, the final boss, coming up your way next.
Looking for your daily fix of sports talk without having to pay for it? GSMC Sports Network is available on YouTube. Just search GSMC Sports Network. Get your fix of daily sports talk shows on YouTube, absolutely free. NFL, college football, NBA, MLB, MMA, UFC, fantasy football, and so much more. GSMC Sports Network has shows running all day long, with new sports shows starting every 2 hours. Just like on your favorite cable sports channel, except GSMC Sports Network is absolutely free. Just search GSMC Sports Network on YouTube to catch one of your new favorite shows, like the GSMC College Football Podcast, Chip Shot Football Podcast, Hoops and Heels Women's Sports Podcast, GSMC Basketball Podcast, and so many more. Check it out for yourself. GSMC Sports Network, now available on YouTube absolutely free. Search GSMC Sports Network on YouTube right now.
And we are back with the GSMC Wrestling Laureate Podcast, brought to you by the GSMC Sports Network. I'm your host, Eric Rodriguez, every Monday through Friday, 11 p.m. Eastern Time, 8 p.m. Pacific Time on the GSMC Sports Network, talking all things professional wrestling. So make sure you tune into that. just kind of reflect on what we talked about real quick. We had our AEW Dynamite 250 review. We also have my Thursday night wrestling preview. We step into the ring of TNA and also the world of Ring of Honor to bring you all the coolest wrestling news, all the breaking news, all the potential storylines, all the matches, especially heading to our TNA Slammiversary, which we are going to cover in our fourth segment. But so let's go ahead and jump on into our third segment. We're going to talk about The Rock's final boss gimmick. Wasn't exactly the best heel run that a lot of people kind of give credit for. So, former WWE star names top heels, excluding The Rock. We have Dutch Mantrell on his podcast, Storytime with Dutch Mantrell. He kind of laid out his criteria for, what's a heel? What's a heel? He said and I quote, he said, a great heel. He's one to entertain the people the best. They hate him, but they secretly want to like him. And of course, we were talking about the exclusion of The Rock. He had his top 10, but just gonna get on into it. Like, if you think about when The Rock came back, they had this, obviously he didn't come back as a heel. He never came back as a heel. He was never designed to come back as a heel. He was designed to come back to, take his spot at the head of the table. You saw him, it was SmackDown. Yeah, it was SmackDown. And they were, even, the announcer was saying, we have a former WWE champion making his way to the ring. There has been a lot of rumors and speculation saying that The Rock was going to challenge Roman Reigns in the future. Not a lot of people thought it was going to be as soon as this. So then you saw Jinder Mahal come out, the modern day Maharaja come out. Everybody was upset. He came out saying, oh, I'm back to kind of wreak havoc. And then out of nowhere, if you smell what The Rock is cooking. Burr, burr, burr. And then everybody got super excited to see The Rock. I gotta be honest, I kind of did as well. When I saw Jinder Mahal come out, I was like, no way. I was like, what just happened right now? Like, that's like, finding out Santa Claus isn't real. You're like, what the hell? Are you serious right now? No, definitely kind of crazy. Definitely, The Rock as the final boss. It was fitting. It was fitting more or less just for the night one, night two main event scenarios. When Cody Rhodes wanted to, when he stepped aside to, to let The Rock challenge Roman Reigns for the championship and overall the head of the table kind of gimmick there, you could just sense a lot of angst with Cody Rhodes. Cody Rhodes, when he stepped away, I thought to myself, I was like, dude, like, really? You're going to let this guy win 2 Royal Rumbles just to, like, all of a sudden The Rock is like, all right, I'm a part of TKO holdings, group holdings now. Like, all of a sudden now I want to come back to WWE. Like, you know what I mean? And when the fans kind of got a taste of what was really going on behind the scenes, because then you had that press conference, that WrestleMania press conference that had, Seth Rollins, and you saw the family and stuff like that. You saw Cody Rhodes, put his foot down. He was like, you know what? I am not stepping aside. I will finish my story at WWE WrestleMania 40, and then thus, kind of igniting a rivalry between The Rock, Roman Reigns against the American Nightmare, Cody Rhodes. So essentially, you can't really blame The Rock for kind of being a crappy heel, although, like, he was a heel. Like, there was bloodshed, there was cursing and stuff like that. Usually when, superstars kind of do that, you kind of think that they're kind of pushing it a little bit too overboard. They're trying too hard, circumstantially. Also, he was trying to dig at personal issues within his dad. Also, Mama Rhodes, and, the belt's going to have blood for Mama Rhodes. But when The Rock came out, the fans, they cheered for him. They cheered for him 1,010% when he went out there. The Rock was probably the most disingenuous heel of all time, mostly because he wanted, I don't know how to say this without seeming like The Rock is pandering to the crowd, but it seemed like he ultimately wanted it to be like he was like trying to be a heel, but at the same time, you saw he wanted to come out and just, because that's who The Rock is. The Rock is a huge entertainer. He's a movie star. For crying out loud. Like, he wants to go out there. He wants to, hide up the crowd, because whenever The Rock comes back to WWE, you know that the WWE universe is going to be on The Rock's side 110% of the time. Like when he came back against John Cena, they were behind his back. They were on The Rock's back immediately. They wanted The Rock to head boots to asses, dethrone John Cena walking around with his colored shirts like a goddamn bowl of Fruity Pebbles. Like, and then when The Rock came back against Cody Rhodes, for me, I gotta be honest. Then he still came out. He had the performances, and he was still, doing the stuff like that. I thought he was good as a heel. I honestly thought he would have been great as a heel. Would have been better as a baby face. But The Rock is just so far tenured within the WWE. I feel like it doesn't even matter at this point. He's gonna come back. He's gonna kind of do his thing. When he comes back, the crowd is gonna go absolutely bonkers, no matter what. He's teased Cody Rhodes, saying that you just finished your story with Roman. Tribal Chief, you won the WWE Undisputed Championship. You beat us. Congratulations. But our story has just begun. So The Rock obviously is going to come back to WWE. That's kind of like a no-brainer. To be honest, John Cena coming back into the fray, announcing his retirement tour, I would say it kind of throws off a little bit. Like, just imagine maybe a main event where you see The Rock taking on John Cena for the fourth time. I'm just kidding. No, I don't think anybody wants to see that. But John Cena ultimately helped Cody Rhodes. Same with The Undertaker, helped Cody Rhodes. Even the odds in that night 2 main event of WrestleMania 40. The Rock ultimately, I feel like he could do whatever the hell he wants to. 1,010%. Any kind of situation you put him in, he's going to flourish. So, kind of crazy how Dutch Mantrell kind of mentioned this. I do honestly think that The Rock was one of the best heels throughout his short tenure. But, according to Dutch Mantrell's, criteria of what makes a great heel, he said the final boss was, only there for 2 months. And, yeah, that's true. But if anything, the 2 months he made such a huge impact. So maybe it should have been a little bit more credited. That's crazy. And he lacked longevity. So, I get it. I get it. So then he gave his top 10 heels. At number 10, I got Bobby Heenan. At number 9, I got Roman Reigns. I got to be honest. I felt on this list Roman Reigns was going to be a little higher because he was ultimately not accepted by the WWE Universe as a face for the longest time. Vince McMahon, Triple H, WWE creative officials, Bruce Pritchard was thrusting Roman Reigns down the throats of all WWE fans and be like, okay, this is who you're going to like. We know who you're going to like, because you want to know why. We're going to tell you who you like. Ultimately, wasn't the best way. Roman Reigns was wrestling in matches where people were booing him, even when, he was trying to play that babyface role. And they were cheering for guys like Braun Strowman, even cheering for guys like Brock Lesnar, because most of the people thought to themselves, like, ultimately, anyone is better than Roman at this point. So then Roman Reigns kind of takes, he wins the Universal Championship, has to go in, has to take care of himself, relinquishes the championship because he has leukemia. Right decision. People with underlying conditions, especially during the pandemic in 2020, 2021, was more susceptible of getting COVID-19, which would have been detrimental to his not only his career, but for his his physical health, overall health, his family, and stuff like that. He is a father, Roman Reigns. So at number 9, Mantrell says Roman Reigns. At 8, we have Old Anderson. Old Anderson, what I've done research about him is this guy was kind of like that old school nitty gritty, kind of like in your face, put the knee in front of the face, like covering style, just so hard boned. So, gotta love yourself some Old Anderson. Number 7, Sergeant Slaughter. Number 6, Jake the Snake Roberts. Number 5, Macho Man Randy Savage. Number 4, Abdullah the Butcher. Number 3, we have the Rowdy Roddy Piper. Number 2, we have Terry Funk. And at number 1, at a huge shocker, the number 1 heel on this guy's list was Mr. McMahon, which was, not really a surprise. Mr. McMahon, although he, everything that's going on right now, I can't really say too much because I don't want to cross any boundaries or anything like that. But, what I've kind of credited about Vince McMahon during the Attitude Era, he was there. He inserted him and his family into the storyline to, kind of promote this business he calls WWE. He tried his best to live through his father's legacy. Ultimately, some gray areas there. Vince McMahon, at the same time you hate him. I kind of hate him, to be honest. But at the same time, you got to respect that he really did care about the WWE at one point. But then, in terms of business, in terms of having this giant conglomerate entertainment business within the WWE, you could get a little cocky, maybe a little self-centered, maybe drop your guard a little bit, be complacent in bad intentions and bad behaviors and stuff like that. Vince McMahon put all of his Vince McMahon and his family put all their eggs in one basket for WrestleMania 1. Getting all the best wrestlers to fight in one venue. And, it birthed WrestleMania. It helped the WWE, WWF kind of, bounce into the conglomerate it is today. So, like I said, I have mixed feelings about Mr. McMahon. But, as one of the top heels in wrestling history, I got to agree that Mr. McMahon was definitely one of them. 1,010%. All right, guys, now we're going to move on. We have our TNA Slammiversary talk. We're going to go through the matches, kind of go through all the potential storylines and maybe the potential winners. So, hey, do not go anywhere.
For the best and latest podcasts available anywhere, go to the podcast app on your cell phone and type in GSMC. To access free content-rich podcasts on health and wellness, book reviews, sports, entertainment, relationships, social media, movies, technology, finance, and even weird news. Subscribe and download the GSMC Podcast Network's family of shows, available everywhere podcasts are found.
And we are back with the GSMC Wrestling Laureate Podcast, brought to you by the GSMC Sports Network. I'm your host, Eric Rodriguez, every Monday through Friday, 8 p.m. Pacific time, 11 p.m. Eastern time, talking about all things professional wrestling. Just kind of reflect on what we talked about. We had our AEW Dynamite 250 review. We had my Thursday Night Wrestling preview, which consists of Ring of Honor, also TNA Impact. And then we got done recently talking about Dutch Mantrell's views on what makes a heel and why exactly was the final boss's gimmick of The Rock wasn't exactly, in lack of a better term, the greatest, the best heel. Like The Rock's kind of mentioned within interviews and stuff like that, being like, I feel like the final boss was the best heel. Like, you know what I mean? Oh yeah, that's cool, dude. Like, you know what I mean? It's like, I also got a comment from my man Chuck Cage. Cena's last run would be, as a heel, would be absolutely dope. I thought about that too. It seemed like a little dorky, but at the same time, I was like, you know what? How badass would it be for him to be like, you know what, this whole time, because John Cena, numerous amount of times, was approached in the past by WWE creative saying, hey, we should turn you heel. We got to turn you heel. We got to do something different. But the fans just loved Cena so goddamn much. You had, of course, with young fans, with, you saw little boys with the hustle, loyalty, and respect, and the talent never give up. He would have been so hard to hate at that time. But then again, so easy to hate. Hated by the adults, loved by the children, age demographic 18 to age 41, which is your targeted demographic heading toward professional wrestling. Kind of caught askew, kind of caught a little conflicted. But just imagine, comes back as the doctor of thugonomics. Like, that would have been, I thought about that and I was like, dude, how badass would it be if John Cena just came back and he's like, dude, I don't give up. I don't give an F about anything that's right now. I'm going out. I am doing everything I can to win my 17th World Championship reign. No one could get in my way. This is my last chance. This is my time to shine. After this, no more John Cena. I feel like that would have been awesome. I feel like that would have been electric. He could be against Cody Reigns. AJ, Carmelo, Braun, and others. I can see that. I see Cody Rhodes as a WWE champion. I had speculation that maybe Cena wins the Royal Rumble, loses ultimately to Cody Rhodes, but looks at Cody Rhodes and he's like, you know what? My time is up. Your time is now, kid. Roman Reigns, when Roman Reigns comes back, he's going to be so baby faces. Yeah, like it's crazy. AJ Styles, I love AJ Styles. He's also a heel. Carmelo Hayes, heel. Braun Breaker, heel. I would say on SmackDown right now, it's probably where John Cena ultimately belongs, especially with SmackDown going to the USA Network. And then you have Monday Night Raw. Monday Night Raw Netflix made demands from WWE to be like, look, for us to kind of play ball, for you guys to broadcast your show on this amazing platform where you could be reached from multiple demographics, multiple countries. We need Roman or Cody Rhodes along with John Cena. I can imagine having John Cena on Netflix. John Cena is a movie star. Absolutely 1,010%. A lot of people, and I know this is from my perspective, when you're surfing things, debating on what to watch on Netflix, you just kind of look at just kind of look at the pictures. You're gonna be like, you look at the title, you're like, oh, okay, skip. Oh, okay, skip. WWE Raw, Damian Priest, Liv Morgan. Oh, skip. Wait, what was that? Monday Night Raw, John Cena confronts Roman Reigns. Oh, I want to watch that. That's kind of like a no-brainer. That's something that, I feel like that Netflix is going to have within WWE. So yeah, moving on. We are rapidly running out of time. Before we move on, I want to remind you guys to use the tips and donations link at the GSMCpodcast.net. Shoot me your comments, questions, and concerns. The show's a hell of a lot better with a lot of audience engagement. So we're going to talk about TNA Slammiversary right quick, live from Montreal, Quebec, Canada, Saturday. So good thing about TNA Slammiversary is, it is sold out. It is sold out. A lot of buzz. Jordan Grace hinting at, more collaborations between NXT. Joe Hendry saying that if he wins the TNA World Heavyweight Championship, he will call out John Cena for a match for the TNA World Championship, which would be, oh my God, something that, which would be absolutely unheard of. Kind of could be crazy. Then you also have the Rascals from NXT, Charlie Dempsey, just a lot of potential. A lot of crazy stuff can happen on Slammiversary. I definitely feel like there will be something big. Obviously, like I mentioned before, NXT heading toward its own, front, heading toward to the point where they have to stand on their 2 feet. And their collaboration with TNA Impact Wrestling will absolutely prove pivotal, would absolutely be necessary. So I also got another chat from my man, Chuck Cage. Does Cena win number 17 at Netflix night 1? Ooh, wow, that is that, to be honest, that's good. That's good. I can maybe see him win, maybe a big match. The championship, I'm not too sure on Netflix night 1. It would have to be against Damian Priest because I doubt Roman Reigns makes his return back to Monday Night Raw, because if you think about it, Roman Reigns excluded himself from the draft. Why would he go to WWE SmackDown unless all he wants to do is get that tribal chief? When Roman comes back, I ultimately feel like he'll be like, look, I'm the longest WWE reigning undisputed champion in the world right now. That is not my main issue. I have all the lights. People are throwing me all the flowers in my illustrious career. So I'm going to go out there and I'm going to get my, I'm going to, show my family what's what, who's what. So a title against Roman versus The Rock would have been, would be pretty crazy. Obviously, God, that'd be so badass. I would love to see that. But I honestly, kind of feel like it's a little less likely. Kind of sucks. I wish something, especially with their first Netflix. Netflix is demanding Monday Night Raw to be like more of a juggernaut than it needs to be. Now you have the Wyatt Six kind of having that horror film, that eerie feeling of diabolical distress throughout the locker room and stuff like that. You see portrayed on the video screen, is a huge reason why the Wyatt Six did debut on Monday Night Raw. It's going to be interesting to see if Monday Night Raw continues to be 3 hours as well. Obviously, time will tell. So let's talk about with the kickoff show. The kickoff show, we have the Militia, Masha Slamovich and Alicia Edwards teaming up, taking on, defending their TNA Knockouts World tag team championships against Spitfire, the former champions, Danny Luna and Jody Threat. Danny Luna and Jody Threat, I feel like, are kind of on the verge of like breaking up, which sucks because I really like Spitfire. I wasn't really a huge fan of Slamovich and also Alicia Edwards, winning the championships. I believe they won them at Against All Odds in Las Vegas. Don't quote me on that. I think they did. No, not Against All Odds. No, damn it. I don't, got to fact check that one. But, I want Danny Luna and Jody Threat. They just seem like such more of a better tandem offense. 1,010%. They seem like they have successful, tag team maneuvers. They, know what each other's thinking. They are great on the mic. They're two young, hungry women superstars. And it just, dude, Jody Threat, Danny Luna, you can't get any better than that. Spitfire, hope they win 1,010%. Next, we have the Digital Media Championship. AJ Francis taking on the Montreal, Quebec native, the French Canadian Frankenstein. You're gonna have probably my girl Stephanie Lander make her way back. Cheer on her, man. PCO, like I said, if this goes south for PCO, you can bet that Stephanie Lander is going to be a huge reason why he loses that match. AJ Francis is, a huge presence in the locker room and stuff like that. So be like, oh, the whole time we were just playing you, dog. And poor PCO, the French Canadian native from Montreal, Quebec, Canada, loses in his hometown. Would be absolutely detrimental. Be so sad. So you know what? I'm gonna think on the bright side. I think PCO wins this match. I think PCO wins the Digital Media Championship. We have this new reign of darkness over TNA. PCO wins the Digital Media Championship. Next, we have the X Division champion Mustafa Ali defending his championship against Speedball Mountain Mike Bailey, who will be out there with Trent Seven. I like Mike Bailey. I think he's an electric tag team, but I think they should stick to tag team maneuvers. I love Mustafa Ali as a heel, as the X Division champion. So I feel like he's going to win. Right now, you don't really, especially with this new collaboration with TNA, Mustafa Ali was pretty prominent within WWE. Heading toward, more of a collaborative. Because you got to bet your ass that when Survivor Series comes around, NXT War Games will feature Team TNA against Team NXT. So I definitely think the champions are going to get together to challenge, and my best pick would probably be Mustafa Ali. So next we have the TNA Knockouts World Champion Jordynne Grace going against Ash by Elegance. Ash by Elegance has been a thorn in the side for Jordynne Grace for the longest time. Jordynne Grace has kind of been cruising, beating people like Tatum Paxley, Izzy Dame from NXT. Now you have Ash by Elegance, who used to be a WWE superstar. I think she's still married to Batista. Don't quote me on that. Batista and Triple H are, still kind of close, despite, their fallout and stuff like that. But ultimately, I feel like Jordynne Grace is going to retain. I feel like at this point in time, there's not really any rush of her losing her TNA Knockouts World Championship, unless it's against a total shocker, total crazy. But she did in an interview say that nobody does it better. Nobody does the collaboration better. Nobody does the shock factor better than TNA collaborating with NXT. So, something big could happen. I ultimately thought, and I thought this for the longest time, that, Natalia's contract recently got renewed. She re-signed a contract with WWE within the last couple of weeks. And I thought she was going to take on Jordynne Grace because she hinted at, taking on Jordynne Grace via Twitter or /X, however you like to call it, Elon Musk. But ultimately, I feel like it'd be awesome because if you have Natalya come out on TNA, you hear the Hart Foundation, or like, I'd be like, that's Bret Hart. That's Owen Hart. That's Jinder Mahal Hart. That's Davey Boy Smith. A lot of great superstars under the Hart family. And if she comes out to challenge Jordynne Grace, that'd be amazing. That'd be absolutely 1,010% pretty kick-ass. So, Next, we have the TNA. We have the main event. We have the TNA World Heavyweight Championship match. 6-man elimination. We have Moose, the defending champion, against Josh Alexander, Nick Nemeth, Steve Macklin, Frankie Kazarian, and Joe Hendry. Going off by them one by one. I think eliminated number one. I think we're going to see Steve Macklin eliminated at number two. We're going to see Josh Alexander at number three. We're going to see Frankie Kazarian at number four being eliminated. Gotta be honest, I see Nick Nemeth. Nick Nemeth had a shot at Moose. You're going to see a one-on-one match between TNA's World Heavyweight Champion. You're going to see Joe Hendry. Say his name, man. He appears. I believe in Joe Hendry. You're going to see these two guys kind of go at it. You have Joe Hendry taking on Moose for the first time. Well, not for the first time. Obviously, they did have that tag team match where freaking Frankie Kazarian had to mess it up. Damn you, Frankie Kazarian. Screwed it up. Damn you. No, I'm just kidding. But ultimately, like, Joe Hendry said that if he wins the TNA World Heavyweight Championship, he's going to call out John Cena. Would be pretty crazy. Would be pretty interesting. Will it happen? No. Overall, I think Moose will retain the TNA World Heavyweight Championship. Sad but true. Little Metallica. I don't know if you guys are down with the Metallica, but yeah, not to brag. I'm just kidding. No, moving on. So next we have our fifth and final segment. Got to wrap it up. We have my boy Amarin talking about all the hottest thing in sports, all the hottest thing in soccer. So make sure you tune into that. But before we move on, you're still stuck with me for at least another 10 minutes. We're going to talk about our Thursday Superstar Spotlight of the Week, Big E. So hey, do not go anywhere. All right. Welcome back to the hottest wrestling podcast in the sports entertainment business. I'm your host, Eric Rodriguez, here every Monday through Friday, 11 p.m. Eastern Time, 8 p.m. Pacific Time, here to talk to you all things professional wrestling. Just kind of reflect on what we talked about right quick. We talked about AEW Dynamite 250. It's pretty awesome, to be honest. Broke over the ratings, was absolutely crazy at $750,000 in that age 18 to 42 demographic. Then we moved on. We talked about my Thursday night wrestling preview, which featured, TNA talk, also our Ring of Honor talk as well. And then we talked about, some heels, how The Rock's final boss heel wasn't the best heel in the whole entire world. But honestly, I bought it. I thought it was pretty cool. It received a lot of criticism and scrutiny online, so we kind of discussed that. And then our fourth segment, we talked about TNA Slammiversary. Will Joe Hendry and Moose be the final two in the Slammiversary's main event for the TNA World Heavyweight Championship? Joe Hendry claims that if he wins the championship, he will call out John Cena during his retirement tour. It would be pretty badass. Would be kind of crazy. Total curveball. John Cena has always been kind of prominent to WWE. Has, kind of that, this guy's a WWE star. He's never really been anywhere else. So, kind of crazy would be, pretty dorky of me to kind of think and get excited about this kind of stuff. But oh my God, it'd be so cool. Just kidding. Get it together. Serious now, podcast guy. Just kidding. Moving on. So we're going to talk about our Thursday Superstar Spotlight of the week. We have my man, Big E from the New Day, from the WWE World Tag Team Champions. No, I love Big E. When he started out his career, I got to be honest, I kind of hated him because he was like the running mate of of Dolph Ziggler and his girlfriend AJ Lee. I hated AJ Lee. I don't know why people like get so excited to be like, oh my god, AJ Lee's gonna make a return back to WWE. I'm so excited. Oh my god. I thought she was so annoying. I hated her. After when she got onto the screen, I was like, dude, like, oh, freaking great. Here we go. And then you have their muscle, obviously Big E. And then you have Dolph Ziggler. I love Dolph Ziggler. I thought, WWE ultimately kind of did him a little dirty in terms of that. It's been, kind of spoken for. He's kind of admitted in wrestling interviews that, WWE creative, even Vince McMahon and Pat Patterson, I think Gerald Briscoe as well, where he'd be like, oh, we're putting Dolph Ziggler through these things because, it's just so damn funny. Like, you know what I mean? So it had nothing to do with his career, nothing to do with promoting his, his intensity, his potential, especially if he's done with WWE, never really did anything to kind of benefit the wrestler that is Nick Nemeth / Dolph Ziggler. So I thought that was kind of crazy. So Big E, more than 2 years ago, Big E broke his neck. Kind of crazy. You've seen a lot of, broken neck stories. Stone Cold Steve Austin took a while for him to get back into the ring. Also, we talked about Kyle O'Reilly of AEW, formerly known in NXT as the Undisputed Era. Then you also, of course, you had Edge. Poor Edge broke his neck, had to come out, did the whole retirement. Whenever they come out, that sucks. It's crazy. It's got to be absolutely, nail biting. It's got to be absolutely just painful, just giving that speech. It was painful to watch the speech, man. I was like, damn, I don't want to see Edge leave. I don't want to see any of these guys leave. Like, a neck injury is serious, though. But Big E, unfortunate on Monday night, on Friday Night SmackDown with Rich Holland. Rich Holland botched the belly-to-belly soup. It was, which shows all the responsibility, which is the reason why these wrestling superstars have to stay tip-top shape. I remember, if you guys don't remember, Brodus Clay, he used to have the Funkadactyls and stuff like that when he debuted. A lot of people got really pissed off because at the time when Edge got hurt with his neck, he was like at the top of his game, total heel. And I'd be like, dude, really? This fat, F word is going to be the reason why we never see the rated R superstar again wrestle within WWE? Damn. Like, when you train to be a WWE superstar, it's probably one of the hardest things in the world because you got to, 1A, prove yourself, B, show that you belong inside the ring. And when I say that belong inside the ring, I mean like physicality, endurance, stamina, charisma. And 3, dude, you got to take care of your other superstar. That's one of the reasons why Bret Hart was such an amazing superstar. That's the reason why people loved wrestling with him. That's the reason why he had such iconic matches. There's certain wrestlers that won't mess with other wrestlers because they're like, dude, no, I've kind of saw how this guy, treats his other opponents, and honestly, I don't want any part of that. It's crazy. Like, you kind of saw CM Punk with the whole Ryback trying to throw him on the table. He completely missed, threw him on the concrete. He was on the shelf for about a month. Then you saw Owen Hart break Stone Cold Steve Austin's neck. Like I mentioned before, Brodus Clay breaking the neck of Edge. You saw Marty Jannetty hitting a scissors kick, breaking the neck of a superstar that successfully sued the WWE for like $10 million plus. It's big. And then you saw Goldberg, claim that he told Bret Hart to watch out for the kick. Bret said he doesn't recollect any of that. Injured Bret Hart's head. Bret Hart kept getting concussions, kept getting, not Nirvana. It's not Nirvana. Vertigo. Eventually couldn't wrestle again, called it quits, had to retire. So protecting a superstar, it's big. It's very, very big. Sometimes you see some superstars botch moves, kind of like when you saw Sami Zayn botch that brainbuster that brainbuster on the turnbuckle against Gunther on WrestleMania 40. When I saw that, I was like, he's dead. Gunther's dead. I'm just kidding. No, I was like, dude, holy shit. Like, that's crazy. That's insane. So more than 2 years ago, Big E broke his neck. He narrowly escaped, a stroke, paralysis, also maybe even something worse. He spoke to Chris Spanini of the Getting Over Wrestling podcast, and he said this, and I quote, I feel great. I have no issues with discomfort, weakness. My strength is great. My C1 is healing fibrously. And obviously, he's not going to be cleared until his neck is fully healed. So he's, kind of like this new and improved, like neck fusion surgery. I believe, don't quote me on this, like a, stem cell kind of research here, trying to help that bone marrow grow a little stronger. Because once when you tear that cartilage, once when you break a bone, a lot of people said once when you break it, and although you go through months and years of rehab, it's never really the same. It's never really the same. And it's just, it's not like a broken leg. It's not like an ACL tear. It's not like an Achilles tendon tear. This is your neck. This is something that could, one day you could be wrestling. The next day you can't walk your kids down the aisle because, you took a chance on something that you probably never should have. You can never drive a car again. You could be completely paralyzed. Like that Darren Drozdov. Like, you know what I mean? Like, night, life changes within the snap of a finger. Like it's crazy. So his real name is no, Etor Ewan. He was born March 1st, 1986 in Tampa, Florida. He had success with the New Day, obviously. He was a college football player, for the University of Iowa. He was a defensive lineman. He also took part in USA powerlifting competitions and stuff like that. In 2009, he was signed to the WWE developmental territory of Florida Championship Wrestling, where he was born Big E Langston. He was the second all-time NXT champion. He's one of the he's the longest reigning Raw Tag Team Champions in 483 days with the New Day. In 2020, the WWE draft separated Xavier Woods and Kofi Kingston from Big E. Then you saw Big E win the 2021 Money in the Bank, had a singles run push, was doing very, very well, successfully cashed in. He was the WWE champion for about 110 days. He's Jamaican descent. He was named Hillsborough County's Ironman of the Year. He has a bachelor's in art, and he was pinned by Brock Lesnar to lose the championship. Awesome. I'm just kidding. No, I would have preferred something different. I remember watching that match, and I was like, really, really, Brock Lesnar, the part-time champion. Here we go again. Like, you know what I mean? But overall, Big E, one of the best wrestlers, one of the best tag teams with the New Day. Absolutely love to see him come back to wrestle once again. He's 1,010%. He has a good head on his shoulders. He's good on the pre-shows. He's very, very good on the pre-shows, but that's not where he belongs. He belongs in the ring, entertaining me and you. He belongs in the ring, backing up Kofi and Xavier Woods, because without Big E, it seems like they're like flirting with breaking up the New Day, and I think that's dumb as hell. I think that would be the worst thing to do. So, Big E, love the man, love the way he made such an impact on professional wrestling. So, got to give mad respect. Definitely hope the best for him in the future with his neck. Speedy recovery, my friend. Hope you come back to WWE and absolutely the SmackDown like you have been throughout your whole entire career since your developmental training back in 2009. All right, guys. Well, that's it for me today. Hope you guys enjoyed the show. Thank you so much for tuning in to the GSMC Wrestling Laureate Podcast, brought to you by the GSMC Sports Network. Here at the GSMC Sports Network, we do love a lot of peace, love, and positivity. So remember to Superman punch that, like and subscribe button to the show. And don't forget to follow us on Twitter/X, Instagram, Facebook, TikTok for more content and updates in regards to professional wrestling. And like I always say, if I haven't made you a wrestling fan by now, we got football right around the corner, college football, especially with my boy Tommy, the Chip Shot Football Podcast with my man Manny, the GSMC Football Podcast with Kenneth, a lot of great, passionate sports podcasters that are keeping you on the edge of your seat, obviously highly entertaining and stuff like that. If you ever get bored of watching Fox Sports or ESPN, this GSMC Sports Network is absolutely 110% free. Like I said, we have Emran coming up at 9:30 with soccer, my boy Sam with baseball, Chris Shepard with, fantasy if you're gearing up for your draft, heading toward the NFL season. If you're part of a couple leagues like I am, you want to make sure you tune into the show so you know who to draft at what round, who to go first, who could you kind of, sit back on. I got to be honest, last year I made a killing. I made a killing on my on my New York Jets defensive suggestion. I got Garrett Wilson also proved pretty well for me. So yeah, make sure you tune into the sport. We also have the Andrew Tate Show as well. Sports and Sports, TJ, Jeremy, Talking Sports by GSMC. So yeah, don't be afraid to be part of this GSMC Sports bloodline. Always remember that we are out here doing the same things that you guys are doing. Want to learn more about sports, want to talk about sports, but most importantly, we want to come to a nice little foundation. This, solidarity between love, sports, between the host and the fans. So don't be, always remember to hit up that chat button 1,010%. So guys, that's it for me. Tomorrow is Friday. Can't wait to do it. I will be live tomorrow on the GSMC Sports Network, 8 p.m. Pacific time, 11 p.m. Eastern time. So until then, stay beautiful and get a good night's rest because we're going to get deep into it. So I'm expecting a lot of energy. So I'm excited to see you guys tomorrow. So hey, stay beautiful.
Let's go. I wake up to a little bit of drool on my pillow, feel like it's gonna be a bad day. Yeah, I'm tired of shit, and the coffee ain't hit yet, damn, ain't that great. I don't wanna go to